What is going on? So it's been a little bit of time since my last update, and I apologize for that. I got another flip that I've been working on, and I kind of put my house on the back burner. So I am going to give you a quick update as far as what's been going on. Downstairs we have completely finished, so let's take a trip and go check it out. So this is the Airbnb, and my mom actually is going to be moving in here to do some of her electrolysis work just while she's getting her company started. So if you're in the Cleveland area and you need some hair removed, hit her up. But through here, I finished laying all the tile, I painted all the doors, got all the trim hung, and the only thing I have left to do is to stain the cabinets and put the cabinet pulls on it. But that right now is not my top priority. So if she's able to use it just how it is, and then through here into the bathroom, flick this light on real quick, but we are all finished over here too. She's got some stuff to add and some pictures to hang to make it feel a little more homey, but the shower is all completely done. And then I gotta put an outlet switch on there. I've still got that sitting in the garage, but that'll only take 2 seconds to do. So while I realized that the plan was to make this an Airbnb, I ended up needing to help my mom, and I think that is going to be a lot cooler, but I'm not entirely worried about that extra income, but it has the option to serve as that purpose in the future when she's all done and has her own space. But for now, I am going to be working on the second floor bathroom, which is my main living area. So as you probably remember, I held off because I needed a full bath to actually do the renovation and stay living here. And now that I have the one in the basement done, I'm just gonna be using that temporarily. And I think I can get the upstairs bathroom to a point that it's usable again within a few days, so it's not really gonna be a huge hindrance for having to run all the way downstairs to use the bathroom. But let's go check out where I am at currently. So this is where the bathroom's at right now. We have tile completely covering the walls, and all of the different things in here, like the vanity, the mirror, and the shower, are just all really outdated. So what I am going to do is pretty much gut this. The only thing that's going to be saved in here is going to be the tub, and that surround is not going to be saved. I'm going to put a different one in there to match downstairs. But in reality, I think this is going to be a pretty easy renovation because there's one wire that needs to come up here that attaches to the lights that I have to land. And that's pretty much it as far as electrical goes. I'm pretty much plumbed everywhere else I need to be. Over back in here, this is where the stackable washer is. So we're gonna have main floor laundry, which is going to be super nice. That way we don't have to go downstairs into the garage to get our laundry. And then next to it, over here, I am going to have just some cabinet and counter space. All right, so it's a little dusty in here, but I got all of the toilet and all of the vanity out. I'm gonna show you exactly what I did and just make it a little easier for you if you are going to try to do this yourself as well. So first and foremost, we are going to have the vanity, and excuse that wire dangling. I'm charging my phone while I am videoing this. What I did was, this is a super cheap vanity that was installed, and it was, I think, built on site. It wasn't like one of those that you just bring in and drop. So it was not attached to this wall. So it was pretty easy to get out. All I had to do was just break it out piece by piece. It's gonna make it pretty easy to get this all in garbage bags and out to the street because I will not have to pay a dump fee for this, which is kind of nice. So before I did any demo, I made sure I turned off all of the water and disconnected the lines so that I could pull the vanity top out a lot easier. And then once that was out, I was able to just start demoing that. Now, the other thing that I worked on was getting that toilet out, and when you're removing an old toilet, they're pretty disgusting. Like, there's always a lot of leftovers from when people use the toilet, just in the different spots, and if it had a leak, it is even more disgusting, so that is not a super fun thing to do. But what I did was I grabbed some Clorox wipes and cleaned that up before I did anything, and then make sure you flush it and disconnect the water lines, turn them off. And then once you flush it, there's still gonna be some leftover water, so I just dumped it into the bathtub, and it's currently sitting there right now, but it's not gonna stay there because I'm gonna need to rip those bath walls down at some point. So realistically, my next step is going to be getting all of this cleaned up so I can start ripping the walls down. I'm gonna have to unwire the lights before anything, just because I do not want a fire or anything. But like I said earlier, there's only one electric line for me to land, and it's right there, and it's going up to the lights. But everything else should be pretty solid from there. And this dust is getting to me, so I am going to just keep working before I start sneezing on camera. All right, so we had a little bit of a mood lighting change. I added just a single light up top because I needed to take this big old beast down from up there because I need to start ripping out the drywall now. So what I'm gonna do now, the easiest way to rip tiled walls out is going to be with a hammer. You just swing it into a straight line, and then the whole board that is the drywall should just pop up. So let's put that to the test and see if it actually works. Hint, hint, I think it's actually gonna work because I've done it before. And just like that, you hit it into more manageable pieces, you pull it off the wall, bag it, and then that way it's not making a huge mess, and you can take it out to the street or to the truck or dumpster or however you get rid of your trash. All right, so yesterday I finished up all the boring stuff. That was just me breaking up the floors, cleaning up the walls, getting everything set so that I can hang drywall. And now I am going to start moving into doing all of the plumbing, electrical, and then I need to install the bath fan as well. So yesterday I got all of the nails out of the walls, and this is how it's turned out so far. I need to install a new fan up in here, and then I need to install a new light up above the shower, and then I need to get this wire moved inside of this wall so that the switch for the shower is relocated. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I need to put it somewhere else because that spot is not going to work, because I'm going to have my washer and dryer stacked right here, and you're not going to be able to swing your arm in there to hit it. So I don't know where I want to put it just yet, but I'll figure that out and I'll show you. Now, as far as the plumbing goes, I am going to be converting all of this to PEX. So the shower valve is going to need to be remounted just because it is super low right now. Right now you need to bend over to turn it on, so I'm going to move it up a little bit, and then I'm going to remount the shower valve just so that everything is PEX and super easy to work on if I ever need to do that. All right, so this is not my greatest PEX job, but it is going to do the trick. It's still a lot better than most any other plumbers would do. So what I ended up doing was down here, this is going to be for the faucet for the shower, and this is just a copper stub out, so if someone steps on it, it's got a little bit more strength, so it's not just PEX, but that just connects to PEX there, and then I threw 2 clamps on it, and then I still need to hammer those in, but I'll show you why I didn't in just a second. And then we've got your Moen faucet, and this is going to be your hot side, that's going to be your cold, and both of those are inlets. And then the top 2 are outlets. So that bottom one is going to go down to the faucet if you want a shower, or a bath, I'm sorry. And then this top one is going to go to the shower head once it mixes inside of that valve, depending on what temperature you want. Now moving around to the back side. This copper was not connected, so I had to put a rubber boot on it, and they didn't have it tied in from before, but now it's all tied in, and that's just the vent for the shower. And down here is where I need to connect the cold and the hot. And the reason I did it like that was because I had an issue where I didn't have shutoffs anywhere. So I am going to get some shark bite shutoffs so that way I could just crank it down, and then there's going to be no shower water, but I still have water everywhere else. All right, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is try and install this new fan. I had yet another issue where this old fan was not even venting outside, it was just venting into the attic, so it was causing it to get a little wet up there when people were taking a shower. Not to mention that fan is ancient, so I am just going to update it with a newer, quieter one. And then after that, I need to do a little bit more electrical, and I need to get a new box for that so I can secure it to the wall, and that way I don't have to worry about any of that. I think I'm gonna get a triple box, and then that way I can put that light switch in it as well, and then I don't have to worry about mounting two different boxes and cutting two different holes in the drywall that I'm gonna be hanging. And then the other piece of wiring I showed a little bit earlier is going to be this wire. There was this light in the ceiling over here before, so I'm just gonna update it to a more modern light that is a little bit easier to mount in there. So all that is gonna be is relocating the switch, and then I need to really just let the wire hang in the ceiling, and then I can cut the hole after the drywall's up. So just a little bit of an update. I ended up doing all of the electrical and HVAC for the fan off camera. So I'm gonna kind of just show that right now. And then I also ripped up the floor, and I went through like 7 layers of floors, it feels like. First layer was tile, second layer was cement board, third layer was underlayment, and then there was a linoleum, and then another underlayment, and then another linoleum, and there's still one linoleum sitting on the floor. So there's just a lot of floors that have been installed over the years, and it was up probably like over an inch, just with the difference of height between the floor that I have everywhere else and what was there in the bathroom. But I finished all of the electrical. That's all ran. So we have the switch for the light, switch for the fan, and then switch for the light above the shower. And then that is just all of the electrical from the kitchen. But up here we have the switch for the light again. And then we have the fan. Next thing I'm gonna do is get the shower insert in there, and then I'm gonna start hanging some drywall. You always run into different things when you're trying to make old stuff work with new designs. So here, let me show you exactly what I am running into. The base of the shower is actually sitting past where the wall goes. So there is a pretty big gap that I'm not gonna be able to caulk and that I don't feel comfortable caulking. So what I'm gonna end up doing, I think, is just shimming out this whole thing. And then I am going to be able to have that overhang correctly so that no water gets behind it. And then this wall will be easy to set. So I spent a few more minutes messing around with adding a 2x4 in there to see if it would work as far as getting rid of that gap. And it did. However, when I stood in there with the 2x4 shimming it out, it felt very crowded in there. So I'm not gonna be able to use that idea as the plan for getting that shower installed. And then I noticed that this window is very much in the way of getting this side wall in. So I would have to cut that side wall. And now I'm thinking that the best thing to do is just to hang the drywall and then tile the shower, because it's gonna make my life so much easier. I can custom make everything. It added 2 days on to working. However, it'll look a lot nicer and be a little bit better to deal with as far as maintenance goes. As long as it's properly maintained, it'll never have any issues. All right, so here we are. We have the drywall on the ceiling done. And it's not the prettiest job ever, but that's what mud is for. And then you can see I've got the fan marked off right there. And then I have a light over here. And then I hung the first wall for the shower. I have to get going to this other house that I'm working on. But that gap down low is going to be a lot easier to hide with tile rather than trying to make that shower wall work. So that is kind of where I'm at right now. I think tonight is Halloween, so I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna get to be able to hang any more tonight, but we'll see. All right, so I'm not entirely sure how much of that you saw, but I hung a little bit more drywall. I finished it up over in the shower area and on this back wall behind me. Now, I was hanging the drywall in the shower and I noticed some wetness on the cross brace for where the water lines are attached to. And I wasn't quite sure what it was until I started looking a little bit closer. Now, earlier in the video, you saw that I had a rubber boot on this vent going up because it wasn't attached going downwards. And it ended up being a leak in that vent when it was going from copper to copper. This is the old piece. And I ended up fixing it by moving the PVC piece that was connected to the copper, the rubber boot, up to the top. And then I'm gonna put a coupler down here to make this one continuous PVC piece. And because that wasn't leaking before, this is what I'm going to do. This one worked. This old one, you can kind of see that it's bulged a little bit. It was a little too big for that copper, so all the water was just sitting there and it was just leaking past the seal. So hopefully that fixes everything that I was having issues with, because I'm going to be closing this wall up here in a little bit. So I'm going to start working on that now. So I got a little bit of work done off camera, and most of it included just hanging the rest of the drywall, the little tiny patches, and then also getting the corner beads up. I went to go turn on the phone that I used to record and it was dead, so I didn't get to record unfortunately, but I will give you a quick update. So where we are at is all of the corner beads are installed around the laundry area, and then same with that window down there. And then also this side of the laundry. Now I had to use metal corner beads, which I don't normally do because Home Depot is consistently sold out of the paper ones. But what I'm gonna end up doing is using mesh tape on the flat lines on the wall. And then on the corners, I'm gonna use paper tape because it folds a little bit easier and it just gives you a cleaner line. But now my goal is to get the first coat of mud on before I have to go to the other house that I'm working on. So I am going to fill in any big gaps that I had, any blowouts that I cut out. And then I'm going to apply my first coat after that with the mesh tape and the paper tape. Now the first coat is just getting the mud up. You're not trying to make it pretty or anything. And then the second coat, you start to make it a little bit smoother, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then the third coat, you're making it as smooth as possible. Now the first coat on this corner was just absolutely disgusting. Right now it's relatively smooth, and there's some stuff that I'm gonna have to clean up, but like I said, the first coat was pretty disgusting, and now it is a little bit more smooth. So all I do in between coats is just take my knife and scrape it up and down, and then put some more mud on it. I don't do any sanding in between coats. And then in the closet here, I ended up, that's a little better. I ended up skim coating the ceiling because this ceiling in the actual bathroom is going to be flat as well. And then, yeah, right now it's just second coat, relatively smooth, nothing special. It didn't completely dry from last night when I was working on it, so I have a lot of wetness to deal with, and I think what I'm gonna do is get a fan in here, and then that will help a lot with getting it to dry a little bit faster. So it's probably gonna be tomorrow before I get a chance to do another coat on this, just because I want everything to have a really solid base and completely dry out before I move on. And I think the next step is going to be getting these floors in. So I'm going to handle getting those floors put in the next video. So if you are interested in following along, make sure you click that like button and subscribe, because it's going to give you notifications for when I post new videos. And it's also going to be super easy for you to keep up to date with everything that I'm doing. If you're looking to pick up a fixer-upper in the Cleveland area or just move to the Cleveland area, my main job is actually, I'm a realtor, so feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is down in the description. But with all that being said, I'll catch you in the next video.